and develop your leadership so that one day you can become the vice president, the president. You can help your family. You know, how many will be in a position that one day, if your family needs anything, you can take care of them? Would that be a great position to be in, right? So let's talk about it right now. There's all kinds of different levels, you know, of leadership, but one of the things I want you to know, as soon as we get here, is that I remember, you know, as a kid, that I didn't realize I was a leader, but looking back, I was doing leadership things. Like, we had a big backyard, okay? And so whenever my mother needed me to cut grass, clean up, okay? How many of you were like me? I called on friends to help. So my friends knew that whatever it was that needs to be done, if Reggie called me and his grass was long, he's asked me to help him cut grass, okay? And so I quickly realized, looking back, that that was me using my influence with my friends to help me get a job done. We did teamwork. How many about raking leaves, right? Remember the leaves fell? How many were raking leaves? But did any of you call on your friends to rake leaves? You did, right? Candace, correct? So Candace was like me. I knew that I had a big yard. I needed help. So as a leader, we assembled a team of people to rake leaves. So understand this. Leadership is a process. No matter where you're at in your life right now, it's going to grow. Okay, so don't worry about trying to be the entire leader, you know, overall. But one of the things I want to talk about is how did people like Steve Jobs and Michael Dell get their idea to go from an idea to an actual product, right? I mean, can you imagine that they invented the iPod, right? The iPad, okay? I mean, think about it. That's huge. So what did they do? And that's what I want you to think about. How many of you dream about certain things in your future, right? You think about where you're going to be in the future. So what I want you to listen to carefully is that if you take on these habits as you get older, a lot of you, your dreams are going to become your realities. And I'm here to tell you, there's not one person that can stop you but you from achieving what it is that you're passionate about doing. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you love, it's okay. Continue to love it, all right? I don't care what you love to do, but if one day it can become a career for you. So, here's some ideas. Number one, there's some core characteristics that I realized that all of these individuals that I mentioned to you in the magazines have in common, okay? And we're going to help you work on yours as you get older, because how many of you would like to be one day featured in the magazine and people talk about your lifestyle? Anybody? Right? Just me? Okay, sounds good. So, number one, integrity. This was a word that when I was your age was not taught to me, okay? And it wasn't that because it wasn't important, but now being in business, integrity is really important. I'm just going to kind of define it as this. You know, a consistency of action, meaning that you do the same thing over and over. Example, how many of you, let's say you decided a time that, let's say, how many of you, when you go to school, you meet up with friends before you go to school? Anybody? On your walk, on your way to school, maybe? Okay? Well, if you say, I'm going to meet you at 8:15, that means that every single day you meet at 8:15 a.m. That's being consistent, okay? It's not one day it's 8:15, it's another day it's 7:55, another day it's 8:30. But when you say you're going to do something, you're consistent, that's integrity, okay? So if you say, I'm going to have my homework done tomorrow by 7, and you continuously say whatever time you're going to do your homework is done, that's integrity. Just so you understand it in terms of being in school right now, that's being consistent, all right? Responsibility. How many of you heard this word before, right? Being responsible. I used to hear it all the time. It ran me crazy. I'm like, what? It's responsibility. It was over and over again. But this is what I want you to know. It's taking care of your duties. How many of you have duties as a student, right? Things you know you're supposed to do. Maybe as a brother, sister, you have duties, correct? Do you also have duties, you know, when it comes to your community? So it's being responsible means you have the ability to respond to what you're supposed to do. Also, commitment. How many of you heard this word before, commitment? Right? Being committed. See, one thing I know about all these individuals, they're not wishy-washy people. Right. Whether they're not in 1 minute, then they're out the other. You know, some of you right now, you're being committed. But if you're not here tomorrow, that means you're not committed. And what is commitment? Is doing what you said you were going to do after the moment that you said it has left you in the emotion. So some of you decide to do things. How many of you have been excited when you decide you want to do something? For example, have you ever left class and you made a decision, I'm going to go home, get my homework done, right? You get home, you ate, you sat down, all of a sudden homework wasn't a priority anymore. Anybody felt like that before, right? Or you kind of start watching TV, maybe the phone rang, right? that means you alter your commitment. But if you would have went home and said, I'm going to do my homework, you actually got it done, that's being committed. So what I want you to know, and I'm sorry you can't take notes, but these characteristics, if you develop them, are going to be the things that are going to change your life. Character. Ms. G mentioned that. Your character. What is your character? Character is the best way for me to describe character is who you are when nobody's watching. Okay? So what do I mean by that? If you walked outside and there was a $5 bill, if teachers were around, I know naturally you're going to pick it up and say somebody dropped their money. Secondly, then that's good character.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. But the next person says, okay, nobody's watching now, there's $5. What do? See, a good character knows that they're going to go and take that money back because it's what? It's not theirs, right? Let me give you an example of why good character has to be done. I was just recently out to eat with some of my daughters. I have two girls. I have a daughter that's 6 and also a foster daughter that's 11. We ate at a restaurant. We left the restaurant. I forgot to tip the waitress. We're driving halfway down the street. And I come to realize I forgot to tip the waitress. Now, if you were a waitress, how many want your tip, right? So if you see that person leave without the tip, you're not going to be very happy. So I literally turned around and made my way back. And my daughter said, my youngest said, the oldest said, what are we doing? I said, I got to go back and give a waitress her tip. She said, Dad, you're going to go all the way back? I said, well, honey, what would you want somebody to do for you if you were a waitress, right? So we're talking about things that are character that you would do when people are watching, and more importantly, when people are not watching, determines your character. And a lot of these great business people have great character.
And Mr. Flowers,
yes.
Can you just also touch on acts like that? Sometimes do something for you on the inside that people that see you doing it can't buy. Money can't buy it. People that see you, give you credit for it, can't buy it. It's an act of fulfillment on the inside that builds.
Absolutely. It's the emotional gratitude. And what it does is when you make it a habit, it just feels good. Let me give you an example. You ever get that present you really like on Christmas Day, you open it up? Remember that feeling you get when you unwrapped it? Right? You're excited? That's the feeling you begin to feel constantly when you're helping people. And you're doing the right thing, whether people are watching or not. You get that feeling over and over. How many like that feeling, right? When you open that beautiful gift, or whatever the gift may be. That's that feeling you will have when you're constantly doing the right thing all the time.
Because leaders do, remember that was the first thing that came on the slide, Mr. Flowers?
That's right.
Leaders do the right thing.
And managers do what's right.
That's right.
Okay, so desire. This is what's important too. A lot of these great leaders have desire. And what I define, as I pick up the definition of desire, to express a wish to obtain, something that you've always wanted. So here's an example. What do you constantly think about? Like Christmas is coming up, right? So some of you already know exactly what you want. True or false?
True.
Right? So you think about it. You imagine about it. When you go to the store, you make sure you go into that section of that area to remind mom and dad, like, that's it. Just want to let you know this is it, right? You gotta let them know that constantly. That's called desire. And so as you get older, there's other things you're going to desire one day. You're going to desire a certain way to live. You're going to desire a certain level of education. And so desire is so important because it's what you imagine and dream about that's going to motivate you to do what you want to do. And then creative. You have to have creativity. And a lot of you have that. Some of you have the most amazing creative minds, but nobody's showing you yet how to really get your creativity out. But let me just tell you this. The world will pay you extremely well for creativity.
And originality. Things that they haven't seen before.
And you know what's so remarkable is both ways will pay well because even Bill Gates has done extraordinarily well. Everybody remember Bill Gates, right? Mm-hmm. But Bill Gates is not originator. He did not take something that didn't exist. But what he did is he innovated, right, with an idea. He got creative. So the world will do great things for both minds. You know, Michael Dell, computers already existed when he created Dell Computers. But he innovated a way and created a unique way to distribute computers, right? Or how about we think about Usher? Usher wasn't the first person to sing, but he brought a different look, a different approach to the industry. So, also I want you to think about too, is passion. What are you passionate about? And passion is when you have, a sincere emotion, okay? A sincere emotion. Have you ever seen people, whether it's basketball, football, and their arms are pumping, they're excited, faces all frowned? How many of you ever feel like that in your sports, right? That's passion. But that's translated into things that you may want to do outside of those areas. What else are you passionate about? Are you passionate about music? Are you passionate about writing? Are you passionate about helping other people? You gotta find what do you love to do. It means what you constantly think about, you're emotional about. Somebody took it away from you, you wouldn't be happy without it. And this is probably one of the most important things is discipline. All the people I showed you in that magazine have great discipline. And what I mean by that? That they have a certain way of doing things, a regimen. Some of you, how many of you agree that you don't do your homework at the same time every day? Okay? But let's make it different. If you are disciplined, whatever time you set to do your homework will be done at the same time every day. That's discipline. And the habit will serve you into the future when you're doing other tasks. As a leader, you have to have discipline. Okay? And that's what every leader I just showed you on here has. Okay? And so, I want to leave you with like 5 ideas to help, some of you have different ideas, and I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter how young or old you are. There are people who are, 12, 13, 9 years old that are coming up with ideas that are changing the world, and they're starting their own businesses, they're helping other people create businesses, and they're doing well because of their ideas. So whatever ideas you have, don't be afraid to share with people, because you never know what they could turn into. And so here's a gentleman by the name of Dan Miller. He wrote a book called The 48 Days to Work You Love.